So I have a question about Women Talking,
Yeah.
which is such a great film.
Who's talking right now?
Me.
Oh, sorry, hi.
Hi. And I'm just wondering what the backstory is in terms of inspiration, and it seems so pertinent to our times. So I'd just like to know a little bit more about that. And the other question is about Fargo, going back to it, and those wonderful scenes that I would say they're kind of pregnant pauses. The pauses, you have to know Scandinavian culture to know about those pauses. And writing it into the script is one thing, but then acting it is quite another. So translating it to the actor from the script. So that's, sorry, two questions.
Yeah, well, because we were speaking before, she's from Minnesota. So because they grew up in Minnesota, he and Ethan are from St. Louis Park in Minneapolis, and all the yas are in the script. So it's like a score. It's not, those aren't improvised. The scene where Marge interviews the two strip pole dancers, all those yas are in the script. And so there was a rhythm. There was a rhythm that made it work. So, right? I mean, you wrote it that way.
Yeah, I think some people, well, what we heard most often from people back home where I'm from was, I don't talk like that, but I know people who do.
Works at Faber and Faber in London. And we've been sharing books just as readers for years and years. And he sent me that book when it had not been published in America yet, but in England. And I read it and I loved it. And it was right after the Me Too movement had begun, had really started gathering some weight and steam in the cultural conversation. And I was very confused about the way the conversation was going, just personally, not culturally or in a global way, but personally I was trying to come to terms with how I felt about it, and that novel really helped me put it into some perspective, that they were this group of women that had suffered this trauma and got together to have a debate about how they were going to move forward. And I really loved that idea. And I think that the novel was really successful in bringing in all the nuance that is a part of the conversation, which was what was confusing me. And I think it's harder to do that in a film, but I think Sarah really did really well in bringing the conversation into a more condensed form to start another conversation, which I think is what she intended. Writer, I mean, you're an editor and a director, but is it just the writing, or is it also the process of being in production?
In reference to doing work now?
Doing work now, but see, I don't even know if he can speak to what you ask. Do you know what she's asking? Like, what elements keep recurring in the process for you?
Well, it's, making a movie, the process itself is confusing in a way, because you go from essentially a solitary task to, which is writing. It's closer to what novelists do, or painters, or, you go into a room and you do something either by yourself, or in my case with one other person for most of what I've done. And then you go into an extremely fraught and large social construct, which is a movie set. And it's all about collaboration under extreme pressure. And then you go into a little editing room and it's like working at a bank again. I mean, you go in at 10 and I go home at 3. So it's very, it's relaxed in a way, at least the way I do it. I don't work around the clock when I'm cutting. Because we don't, basically, we very rarely have these kinds of deadlines that a lot of filmmakers do. So, the process itself, and the fact that it changes like that has always been, and it changes on every project. You go through these 3 phases, has always been what's been interesting and stimulating to me. It keeps me interested in it. It's always changing.
Ever, when you're off camera, watching the monitor,
Do you ever break up while you're sitting off there?
No, we're notorious for that and ruining sound takes.
All right, let me try to do the sound.
No, it's true that we actually get a lot of dirty looks from actors because we have to do the scene. If they have to do the scene over, because the sounds are working.
But sometimes that's all you get from them too. And I have to explain to people sometimes, they're not going to tell you you're good or bad. But when you hear that sound, it's good.